Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Triple Double Nation. Today we'll be covering what every NBA contender should do to win the NBA championship. Let's get into the video. Coming up with trades for NBA championship contenders is usually just the right amount of difficult. This year it's just difficult. Title hopefuls typically aren't financially flexible, don't have the most attractive prospects or contracts, and might have dealt away some future first round picks. But their roadblocks are seldom insurmountable. They're more like invitations for creativity. Failing that, the trade market almost always includes enough sellers to guarantee some modicum of possibility and variety. Buyers may not be wielding the flashiest assets, but they have avenues to get a deal done and plenty of smaller splash options from which to choose. That's not the scenario this season. The rumor mill is either quiet or churning out repetition, in no small part, if not entirely, because the list of prospective sellers is uncommonly short. Between relative cricket noise and contenders at the Brooklyn Nets, Los Angeles Clippers, Los Angeles Lakers, and Milwaukee Bucks all having mortgaged their future first-round picks / kingdom come, this isn't the year to expect, or in our case, Imagineer, trade deadline fireworks. Brooklyn Nets. Could Brooklyn and Houston really link up for another trade? The Nets appear to hope so. They're among the suitors for PJ Tucker, who will remain away from the Rockets until his future is resolved. Brooklyn's interest tracks with its greatest need, a portable frontcourt defender who can cover some of the toughest playoff assignments. Tucker won't do much to solidify the Nets' presence on the glass, but he allows them to continue downsizing at the 5 during non-DeAndre Jordan minutes without forfeiting strength. He will shoot better than 31.5% from deep in Brooklyn. James Harden and Nets assistant coach Mike D'Antoni will vouch for that. Cobbling together a deal isn't super easy. If the Nets aren't moving any of their 4 highest salaries, Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris, and Jordan is theoretically off limits given his relationship with the team's superstars. Filler is impossible to come by without using the injured Spencer Dinwiddie. He's the team's 5th highest paid player right behind Jordan. Landry Shamet is number 7 at $2.1 million. Most expect Dinwiddie to decline his $12.3 million player option this summer, so his value lies almost completely with bird rights. That's not netting Brooklyn a home acquisition, even if he is a fringe all-star at full strength. Houston specifically might see closer to 0 use in his bird rights when it's starting down a rebuild. Still, the Rockets can explore rerouting Dinwiddie elsewhere, try to broker a sign-and-trade in free agency, or just bring him back and hope his next deal ages well. Opportunities to bag a legitimate lead guard in his prime for a 35-year-old Tucker and Daniel House don't come around very often. Dinwiddie's torn right ACL and prior injury history is noteworthy but not a harbinger of doom. Swapping Tucker for Dinwiddie works without moving other parts, but the Nets would want more for someone who's so good when healthy. Los Angeles Lakers. Calling for the Lakers to go after a big man is fine, but prioritizing them at that trade deadline feels weird unless Anthony Davis's right cap strain is a longer-term worry. He figures to close games at the 5 in the postseason, and it should be easier for the Lakers to scoop up another big man on the buyout market. Beefing up the shooting and creation, especially during minutes without LeBron James, should be the more pressing priority. Ditto for adding another person who can be saddled with bigger wing assignments. Garrett Temple checks 2 of those boxes. His 34.3% clip from downtown doesn't qualify as much of an upgrade, even if it rises in LA. He's not a high-volume flamethrower, then again, with the way Wesley Matthews has been faring from deep, he might actually be an improvement. Either way, the Temple gives the Lakers another secondary initiator. He shouldn't be tasked with running lineup solo, but the Lakers need ball handlers who don't just attack with intent to score. And though Temple's 2.5 dimes per 36 minutes don't leap off the page, he has a higher assist rate on drives than Dennis Schroeder. Giving up 2 second-rounders for him is not an overpay, even if Matthews' shooting normalizes. Temple is more likely to stand up against bigger and stronger wings. Chicago hasn't hesitated to throw him at everyone from point guards to Jason Tatum. LA is also carving out a smidge more room under the hard cap of this trade. Phoenix Suns. This is a throwback scenario from a previous trade brainstorm, except the Suns are now giving up less. The Rockets don't have the leverage to insist on Abdel Nader, who's shooting and defending well on the wings when PJ Tucker is neither around the team nor playing much like PJ Tucker. Houston can push for Nader and or another second if the competing market is especially bubbly, but Phoenix should start with Javon Carter, Antoine Moore, and 1 second that conveys the year after Chris Paul's current deal expires. Langston Galloway can be tossed in a place of Moore if the head coach Monty Williams remains married to giving him regular minutes. making a run at Tucker's shields the Suns against in equal parts, promising him fragile frontline rotation. DeAndre Ayton can still switch and bust up plays on the back line, but he's liable to get burned by quicker smalls if he comes up too high. His presence in general at both ends is also maddeningly inconsistent. You don't always feel him on the court. Dario Saric at center lineups have proved to be a gnarly antidote. They are nuking opponents by 25.2 points per 100 possessions, and the Suns have used them to close a couple of recent games. Will that fly against the Nuggets, or a Lakers squad with Anthony Davis, or the Jazz in a playoff series? What happens if it's not and Ayton is having one of those narrow trademark low-impact appearances? Tucker is both protection and diversification. He invites the Suns to try different looks for the closing unit. His minutes with Phoenix would be more up in the air than they'd be elsewhere, but he joined Houston in the first place because of Paul. Contending for a title next to his buddy should appeal to him. Sending Javon Carter to Houston is a tad nerve-wracking if Phoenix has concerns about the backing guard rotation, currently headlined by Cameron Payne. But his minutes have dwindled and his threes aren't falling. He will never be the answer for a team that needs a second-string pilot. Carter is at the same time an attractive pickup for the Rockets. They still need to hammer out the guard rotation behind John Wall. Utah Jazz. Bring up the Jazz in the NBA title discourse and you're bound to hear some variation of, but who will guard bigger athletic wings in the playoffs? How about Daniel House? Just so we're clear, Utah's defense will not be left for dead in postseason. Rudy Gobert is a transformative linchpin in all matchups, and the combination of Joe Ingles, Georges Niang, Royce O'Neal, and Maioni gives them options. Whether the Jazz want to be leaning on Niang or Oni for mission-critical defensive minutes is a separate matter. Maybe they're cool with it. House helps bolster their defensive depth regardless. He has gone up against guards, wings, and bigs during his time in Houston, and his 31.2% success rate from beyond the arc is pretty much guaranteed to improve with Utah's offense. Forking over Udoka Azubuike and Elijah Hughes is not an overpay, as long as House's right knee injury isn't anything serious. The Jazz's timeline is now. They need players who help them now. Neither Azubuike nor Hughes provides immediate aid, and the former is more expendable than ever after Utah signed Derek Favors and extended Gobert. The Rockets should be getting enough compensation within this framework. Azubuike is only 21 and under team control for up to 3 more years. Hughes is just 23, owed $1.5 million next season, and can soak up minutes across all wing spots in a Rockets rotation that should be fully immersed in a youth movement after the trade deadline. Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid's bone bruise in his left knee could change the Sixers trade deadline calculus. He's expected to miss only a few weeks according to ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, but that takes them past March 25th. Also, this is Joel Embiid. He's both a frontrunner to win MVP and walking injury risk. Philly may not want to make any wholesale changes before seeing him return and play actual basketball. Nemanja Bjelica is among the solid options who won't force the Sixers to mortgage any part of their future. And if you're wondering whether they can get over him burning them in 2018 only to sign with the Kings, the answer is a resounding yes. Team president Daryl Morey wasn't around then, and Philly has already shown interest in him this season. Acquiring Bjelica is not without some risk. The Sixers would be betting his three-point clip ticks up from 32.9%. It's a fair gamble. His playing time has been inconsistent, verging on sparse, and he was a career 39.3% shooter from distance entering this season. Philly needs another body unafraid to let her rip from 3, and Bjelica gives the Sixers a number of lineup options as a second string 4 and 5 if his threes are finding nylon. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and hey, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. With that, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.